She told my family my $6,000 wedding dress was destroyed by mold, so I had her arrested when I found it listed online as worn once. I was scrolling through a TikTok haul video that my friend sent me at 11:30 at night, 3 weeks after my sister told me my wedding dress had been destroyed by mold, when I saw it, my dress, my exact dress, on a stranger's body in another state. I stopped breathing for a full 4 seconds. Then I screenshot it, opened a new message, and started typing. My name is Coraline. I'm 28 years old. I'm a pediatric occupational therapist, and in 31 days I am marrying the best man I have ever known in a venue with string lights and wooden chairs and a caterer who makes a lamb dish that my fiancé Marcus has been talking about since the tasting. I want to give you that image first, the good one, the real one, because this story is going to get very ugly before it gets better, and I need you to understand that the ending is not ugly. The ending is me, in my dress, walking toward Marcus. But to get there, I have to tell you about my sister Diane. Diane is 33. She's 5 years older than me. She lives 40 minutes from our parents' house in a condo she can't afford, and she has been the golden child of our family for so long that I think even she has forgotten what it cost to maintain that status. She's the pretty one, in the specific way our mother means when she says pretty, thinner, lighter-eyed, socially graceful in a performance-y way that reads as warmth until you've known her long enough to see the seams. She is the daughter my mother brags about to her book club, the one my father calls my girl with a softness in his voice he has never once directed at me, the one who can do no wrong for so long that when she finally does something wrong, the family's first instinct is to make it someone else's fault. I had been the other one my entire life. Not the bad one, not the black sheep, just the other one, the reliable one, the quiet one, the one who gets good grades and doesn't cause scenes and shows up to family dinners and doesn't ask for things. The one who became a therapist, which everyone finds admirable in the abstract and slightly inconvenient in practice because I have spent enough time studying human behavior to see patterns that other people prefer not to name. I see patterns very clearly. Marcus proposed 8 months ago. I said yes before he finished the sentence. I would like to say I played it cool, but I genuinely could not. The word just came out of me like it had been waiting, and we set the date and found the venue and began the extraordinary, expensive, logistically overwhelming process of planning a wedding. If you've done it, you know. If you haven't, just trust me. It is a second job with no salary and everyone has opinions. The dress was the thing I was most certain about. I knew almost immediately what I wanted. I'd carried the image in the back of my mind since long before Marcus, since the age of approximately 14 when I saw a gown in a magazine that I tore out and kept in a box under my bed like a little altar to future hope. Structured bodice, soft A-line skirt, off-the-shoulder neckline with a draped detail at the back that I couldn't stop thinking about. I found a designer who could do a custom version. I had 4 fittings. I paid $6,000, which is more money than I had ever spent on a single item in my life, and I paid it without flinching because it was the dress, and because Marcus had told me once that the moment he most looked forward to was seeing me walk through those doors, and I wanted to be exactly what I'd always imagined when I walked through them. The dress was finished 6 weeks ago. I brought it to my parents' house because Marcus and I live in a small apartment and I didn't trust the closet space, and because it felt romantic and correct to keep the dress somewhere separate from where we slept, a small gesture toward tradition. My mother held the garment bag with both hands and promised me it would be perfectly safe in the spare bedroom closet. I drove home feeling light. 3 weeks later my mother called me. I was at work, in the break room, eating a yogurt between sessions. My phone rang and I saw Mom and I picked up expecting something routine, an update about seating arrangements, maybe, or a question about the rehearsal dinner. Something happened, my mother said. The yogurt went back on the table. What? A pipe burst in the basement last week. The water got into the spare bedroom and, Coraline, honey, the garment bag was on the floor of the closet and there was mold. What? I said again. But this time it wasn't a question. Diane noticed it when she was helping us clean up. It was destroyed, sweetheart. We had to throw it away. We couldn't. I don't remember exactly what happened to my body in that moment. I know the yogurt container fell off the table. I know one of my colleagues put her head in the break room door and then backed out very quickly. I know that the sound that came out of me was not a word. We're so sorry, my mother said. Diane is just devastated. She found it and she cried. Coraline, she felt so terrible. The dress, I said. My custom dress. The one I had made. The one I paid $6,000 for. We're going to help you find something else. It was custom made, I said. My voice had gone flat in the way voices go when the brain is protecting itself from the full weight of something. It took 4 fittings and 6 months and, Coraline, my mother's voice shifted, just slightly. A note of familiar impatience underneath the sympathy. It was an accident. These things happen. We didn't know the pipe would. I ended the call. I sat in the break room and I looked at the yogurt on the floor and I felt something cave in my chest, not dramatically, not loudly, but with the specific quiet devastation of losing something you'd been carrying carefully for a long time. 31 days until my wedding. No dress. I did not cry at work. I am professional, and I have learned over years of working with children in crisis that you do not spend your emotional resources before you need them. I finished my shift. I drove home. I sat on the floor of my closet. I don't know why the closet. It just felt right. The small enclosed space, and I let myself fall apart for exactly 45 minutes. Marcus sat outside the closet door the whole time, his back against the wall, not saying anything, just being there. When I came out he handed me a cup of tea and said, "Tell me everything." I told him everything. "Something's off," he said. Not accusatory, just methodical. Marcus is an engineer. He thinks in structures. The garment bag was hanging, wasn't it? Not on the floor? I hung it, I said. I watched my mom hang it. He looked at me. I looked at him. "I'm just saying," he said carefully, but I didn't let myself go there. Because to go there meant considering a thing so ugly that it seemed impossible. It seemed like the kind of thing that happened to people in Reddit posts, not to me, not in my actual family. I spent the next week trying to figure out what to do about the dress. I reached back out to my designer. She was compassionate and completely booked through the end of the year. I visited 3 bridal boutiques and tried on things that fit my body but not my vision and came home each time feeling a little more hollowed out. Marcus told me I would be the most beautiful thing in any room in anything, which is exactly the right thing to say and also did not solve the problem. Then, on a Thursday night, 11:30 p.m., my friend Jasmine texted me, "Hey, so I'm sending you something and I need you to be sitting down," followed immediately by a TikTok link. The video was titled Thrift and Resale Haul. I scored big on Poshmark Whiteheart. The creator was a girl named Becca, 20s, bright energy, standing in her bedroom surrounded by tissue paper and bags. She was doing that thing where you reveal each item with a little flourish, describing where she found it and what she paid. She got to the 4th item. She lifted it out of a garment bag. My dress. My exact dress. The off-the-shoulder neckline, the draped back detail, the exact shade of ivory that I had agonized over with my designer for 45 minutes because there are 17 kinds of white and each one does something different in different lights. Custom made, one of a kind, exactly the dress I had built from a magazine page I'd kept under my bed since I was 14. On a stranger's body, in another state. Becca was saying something about how it was a grail find and she'd gotten it for $3,000 and it was the most gorgeous dress she'd ever seen and she was thinking about wearing it to her friend's formal event. I sat completely still. The video kept playing. I pressed pause. My hands were shaking, not with the hot, electric tremor of anger but with something deeper and slower. The tremor that comes when your body understands something before your mind has fully formed the words. I typed a comment on the video. "Hi, I think that might be my dress. Can I DM you?" Then I hit send and I sat on the edge of the bed and I waited. Because what came next is the part that broke something inside me that I am still not sure has fully healed. Becca responded in under 10 minutes. She had clearly seen my comment, because her DM started with, "Okay, I watched your comment come in and my heart dropped, please tell me everything." So I told her everything. The custom dress, the designer, the fittings, the specific details, the interior label with the designer's name and my name on it, the tiny hand-stitched detail on the left side of the bodice that my designer had added as a signature element. Becca went and checked. She sent me a photo. My name, on the label. "Oh my god," she wrote. "This is your dress. Coraline, this is absolutely your dress." I asked her where she'd bought it. She sent me the Poshmark listing. The seller's username was dstyle_closet. Diane's name is Diane Styles. Her Instagram handle is @dstyle. She has used variations of that handle across every platform since 2012. Because she is not a careful person, she is a person who has never believed she needed to be careful, because someone has always been there to cushion her falls. Not this time. The listing had been up for 8 days. The pipe burst story was 10 days old. She had sold my dress 2 days after she told my mother it had been destroyed by mold. She had sold it for $3,000. She had probably used that money to pay down some portion of the credit card debt that, I would later learn, had reached a number that made my stomach turn just to hear it. I sat on that information for 60 seconds. Then I took a screenshot of the listing. I saved Becca's photos of the label. I wrote down the username, the sale date, the price, the item description, which included, with a detail so brazen it nearly made me laugh, the line, "Custom gown, worn once, excellent condition. Worn once, worn once." She had never worn my dress. She had taken it from a garment bag, photographed it, listed it, and shipped it to a stranger in another state state to pay her Visa bill. I called Marcus. Find her Poshmark listings, I said. D-style_closet. Look at the date of the wedding dress sale. He found it in 40 seconds. Coraline. I know. She sold it 2 days after. I know. Marcus. A pause. What do you want to do? And here is the thing about having spent years as the other daughter, the reliable one, the one who doesn't cause scenes. When the moment finally comes where a scene is not just warranted but required, you are very prepared for it. You have been preparing your whole life. You have been watching, and documenting, and naming patterns, and waiting for the moment when the pattern could no longer be denied by anyone in the room. I want to go to the police, I said. Marcus didn't try to talk me out of it. That's one of the 10,000 reasons I'm marrying him. I called my parents first. Not to warn Diane, I want to be clear about that. I was not calling to give anyone time to prepare. I called because I believed, with the specific naivety of someone who still wanted to believe, that my parents would hear the evidence and respond the way parents are supposed to respond, with outrage on behalf of the injured child, with clarity about what was right. My father answered. Dad, I said, I need to tell you something. Diane didn't throw my dress away. She sold it on Poshmark 8 days ago. I have the listing, I have the photos, I have the buyer's confirmation with the label with my name on it. Silence. Dad. Coraline, he said slowly. Are you sure? Because that's a very serious. I am completely sure, I said. D-style_closet. It's been her handle everywhere since 2012. She sold it for $3,000 2 days after she told Mom it was destroyed. Another silence. Longer. She's been having a really hard time, he said finally. I felt the heat rise from the base of my throat to the crown of my head so fast it was like standing up too quickly. My vision sharpened rather than blurred, went hyper clear, the way things go when your body enters a state of absolute focus. She's been having a hard time, I repeated. The debt, Coraline, she's been really. She stole my wedding dress, I said, a month before my wedding. And then she looked at me and told me a pipe destroyed it. She was scared. Dad. My voice dropped to something very quiet, and I have learned over years of professional practice that the quietest voice in a room carries the most weight. I am going to the police tomorrow morning. I'm telling you now as a courtesy, not to ask permission. He started to say something else. I ended the call. My mother called back 4 minutes later. I let it go to voicemail. The voicemail was 3 minutes and 40 seconds long. I listened to all of it. It contained the words family, forgiveness, perspective, and do you know what this will do to her in various combinations. It did not contain the words I'm sorry or you're right or what can we do to help you. I saved the voicemail. I went to bed. I slept badly but I slept. The next morning, Marcus drove me to the police station. I walked in with a folder. Printed Poshmark listing. Screenshots of the seller username across every platform. Photos of the label from Becca. Becca's DM chain confirming the purchase. The date of the alleged pipe burst versus the date of the listing. I had also pulled our family's property records to verify that my parents' home had not had a plumbing permit filed in the relevant window, which is public information, which I had checked the night before, because I am an accountant's daughter and I know how paper trails work. The officer at the intake desk was a woman in her 40s with the specific expression of someone who has seen a lot and is impressed by very little. She looked at my folder. She looked at me. You did this yourself? She said. I'm thorough, I said. She almost smiled. Grand larceny. In our state, theft of property valued over $1,000 qualifies. $6,000 custom wedding dress, sold for $3,000, with documented evidence of premeditated deception. The detective I spoke to later told me, carefully, professionally, that the case was, and I am paraphrasing here, about as clear as they come. The warrant was processed. My parents called 11 times that day. I answered once, the 7th call, because I believed in giving people one chance to say the right thing even when all evidence suggests they won't. My mother said, Coraline, I'm begging you. She made a terrible mistake and she is so sorry, and if you do this it will destroy our family. She destroyed the family, I said. When she lied to my face about my wedding dress, she was desperate. She was calculating, I said. There's a difference. She made up a story. She photographed the dress. She listed it. She negotiated a price. She packaged it and shipped it. That's not desperation. That's a plan. Coraline, please. Mom. I stopped. I took a breath. Do you know what she wrote in the listing? Worn once, excellent condition. My dress, that I never got to wear, listed as worn once. That's who you're asking me to protect. My mother started crying. Real tears, probably. I have no doubt she was genuinely upset. But I have learned, over a lifetime of watching my family operate, that genuine emotion and moral clarity are not the same thing. You can be genuinely upset and still be asking for the wrong thing. I'm not coming to the wedding, she said then. The tears were still in her voice, but underneath them was something harder. If you do this, I can't be there. I hadn't expected that. I want to be honest, that one landed. It landed somewhere soft and old and young simultaneously, the part of me that is still 12 years old and wants my mother in the front row. That's your choice, I said. Your father agrees. Then that's both of your choice, I said. Coraline, think about what you're uninvited, I said. All of you. I hope you understand why. I ended the call. I sat in the car in the police station parking lot, because I had taken the call outside, and I looked at my hands in my lap for a long time. Marcus came and found me. He sat in the driver's seat without starting the car and waited. They said they won't come to the wedding, I said. I heard, and I uninvited them. Good, he said. Simple, unequivocal. It doesn't feel good, I said. I know, he said. It doesn't have to feel good to be right. I looked at him. This man, this specific person, who had sat outside a closet door while I fell apart and handed me tea when I came out and said something's off when everyone else was performing grief on my behalf. 30 days, I said. 30 days, he said. And you're going to be the most, Coraline, you're going to be. He stopped. His jaw went tight the way it does when he's trying not to get emotional. You're going to be everything. I squeezed his hand. We sat there for a while. Then, that evening, I got another DM from Becca. Hey, I've been thinking about this all week and I can't stop thinking about it. I want you to have this dress. I'm shipping it back to you tomorrow. Please don't argue with me. You earned this dress 4 times over and you should walk down the aisle in it. I read the message 3 times. Then I put the phone down on the kitchen counter and I stood at the sink and I let myself cry for the second time through this whole thing. Not from grief this time. From something I don't quite have the right word for. The specific overwhelming quality of unexpected generosity from a stranger. The way it lands differently than kindness from people who love you. Because there's no obligation in it. No history. Just one person deciding to do the right thing for someone they'll never meet. Becca and I have been texting every day since. She's coming to the wedding. Marcus and I invited her and she said yes so fast I laughed out loud. My sister was arrested this morning. I was at work when my phone buzzed with a text from a number I didn't recognize. A cousin, it turned out. One of the peripheral family members who'd been watching the situation unfold. They picked her up this morning. Thought you should know. I set the phone face down on my desk. I finished my session with a 7-year-old named Eli who was working on fine motor skills and who told me today, completely unprompted, that I was one of his favorites, which put things into a certain kind of perspective. I don't know what happens next in the legal process. The detective will keep me updated. I know that my parents are not speaking to me, and that this silence feels different from previous silences between us because this time I am not waiting for it to end. I know that 31 days from now, Marcus will be standing at the end of an aisle with string lights and wooden chairs, and I will be walking toward him in an ivory dress with an off-the-shoulder neckline and a draped detail at the back, sent to me by a stranger named Becca who watched a TikTok comment and chose to be decent. I know that my parents will not be there. I know that Diane will not be there. I know that there will be people missing from the photographs who should have been in them, and that the absence will live at the edge of what should be the best day of my life. And I know, because I have spent enough time studying human behavior to name things clearly, that none of that is my doing. She took the dress. She lied to my face. She listed it as worn once and shipped it to a stranger and spent the money. My parents told me the family mattered more than what was done to me. They were wrong. Families don't survive by protecting the person who causes the harm. They survive by being honest about what happened. I was honest about what happened. So let me ask you something, and I mean this genuinely. I want to read your answers. Is there any version of this where I was supposed to drop the charges? Is there any reading of this story where protecting a sister who stole my wedding dress, lied about it, and would have let me walk down the aisle in something I didn't choose, where protecting her from consequences was the right thing? Or did a golden child finally meet the one person in her family who had spent a lifetime watching patterns, and couldn't look away from this one? Tell me where you land, because I want to know.
If you have made it this far and want to see more videos like this, then kindly subscribe and turn on notifications so you may never miss another story like this.